Welcome! It is night 20 of Cook for Victory. Of course, we're sad. Be here with me, Maddie.
And my name is Millie, and tonight we are cooking at Cookery School at Little Portland Street for the last time.
For the very last time. For the very last time. I've been a pastry chef for over 10 years in Australia, and I've spent my last 3 here teaching at Cookery School.
I'm from London. I did my professional training here at Cookery School, and before that was a private chef in Tuscany.
Our job, and hopefully you've picked up a little bit over the last 20 days, and if you haven't, you can always go back, is to hopefully get you guys enthusiastic about cooking, enjoy some really nice, simple, we call them crowd pleasers, easy menus with great food, and seasoned to perfection.
Yeah, and tonight is no different. We're doing lovely sort of moving into summer barbecue season grills and griddling. So we're going to show you how to grill things in a pan, how to grill things in an oven, whether you're a vegetarian, pescatarian or a meat eater. Then we're also going to do a delicious apple crumble and finish it all off with some butterbean puree to go with all of our mains.
So safe to say it's going to be a busy night.
Yeah.
And we have enlisted some help from somebody who you may not recognise, but is our #1 fan.
Perhaps.
I'm going to say that's a big go, but you'll meet Aiden in a second. But we're going to start with our apples, our apple crumble. So get your apples ready. You'll need a peeler and a nice big pot, and of course, chopping board, knife, all the good stuff, and a Jeffrey or a helping hand like Millie.
Right.
So apple crumble is kind of like a cheats apple pie. It's cooked down apples, or it can be another fruit of your choice. You just need to get the water out somehow. And then we're going to make a nice crumble topping. So something that I'll do in a little while to show you, but it's very, very delicious and really super easy to put together as well. You could use some nice other fruits, but apple is the most consistent and usually the most delicious. And we're cooking it a little bit just to make sure that all the water is released and we don't make a soup. So this has no pastry, so it's really quick and easy. You can also freeze the crumble. Sorry, forgive me.
Never. What kind of apples are we using?
We are using eating apples, and I say that very heartily. We use apples that you would be happy to bite into. Cooking apples don't taste very good, but it usually means you need to add sugar, which we don't want to do. So there's a little bit of sugar in the crumble, but eating apples like a Pink Lady, a Gala, or there's lots of thousands of different types out there, they have their own natural sugars, and they also hold together a little bit more. Cooking apples are about, I don't know, exaggeration, about 90% water, so they cook down to nothing basically. So we want to use nice apples that, they might not be the best apple, they're happy, a little bit of bruising is fine, but something sweet and something that you'd be happy to eat fresh. I didn't do anything. I'm going to show you one or two. These, we want to cut them small, one so that they cook quickly, but also so that they're cooking at the same rate. I did horribly miss my first cut. I'm going to do it with this one. So as per usual, you're going to make yourself a nice flat surface. I'm just chopping around the core. So for me, I'm going straight down to the board and then straight down like that. And I've got myself a nifty flat surface here. I put it down. And I'm cutting all the way around. Just saves you a little bit of time cutting into the core. And then from here, it depends. Like I said, we're going to go quite small this time around to make sure that they cook quickly. So maybe a centimetre cube roughly. Nothing too crazy, but something along these size. And then we're basically going to cook them enough so that they're translucent and a little bit mushy. And then they'll go with that apple crumble on top. Thank you, ma'am.
So you can grab yourself like a nice wide pot where it's going to release lots and lots of water, and also a lid that's going to trap the heat from top down. If you need anything to grab.
This can go low and slow, the apples, but we're cooking them quick to keep their colour nice and fresh. If you were doing the chopping and you're doing lots of apple chopping, you need a hefty amount of lemon juice to stop them going brown. For us, we're just going to act really, really quickly and get it all in the pot before they even think about going brown. And start cooking. Look at your skills.
Speed
If
peeler.
you are unseasoned with a peeler, my number one advice is I almost push my apple into my peeler. My peeler doesn't even move. So you get a bit of force behind it. Instead of trying to, like this, you can go one big long peel if you move your apple into your peeler. My peeler is almost not moving at all. The last apple. Did I beat you? Yes.
No,
Yes, I did.
I chopped smaller.
All right, job one done.
So,
Oh, you go.
so we're going to add a little splash of water just to help these to cook, soften, break down without burning on the bottom, but not a lot, maybe 50 ml or something. I'm going to turn this on to medium-high heat to let them start to break down. And I'm going to put a lid on top just to trap all that steam and make sure they're not sort of frying or cooking too fast.
And now is a very good time to introduce our guest. So Aidan is not only a cooking enthusiast, but he's also 13 years old. He's been following a few of these, so we're going to test his knife skills out. We're going to test if he can caramelize an onion. I think we've done it enough. So welcome, come on up, Aidan. You can tell us how you've enjoyed the cooking so far.
I mean, I obviously love cooking. I've done the knife skills course here with Debs, but all of the online classes have been really fun, easy to follow, and I just feel like, yeah, it's great to get
Go for it.
great to get people into cooking through this.
What's been your favourite so far?
Gotta say the pasta
I was-
sauce.
If, if you want to look way back, I did shout out to somebody's pasta that looked better than ours, and it was actually Aidan's pasta.
So I know you've done this many times, so we're going to start by taking off the top.
Yep.
So you've got a nice flat surface, popping it on the flat edge and then with your fingers between. We're going to go tip down, anchored onto the board, chopping through the root. So make sure you've got a nice flat base as well.
And for me, I'm just working on the
And then
crumble
you can just peel
topping
off.
while these guys cut their onions for the last time. Your crumble topping, this can quite easily be done in a food processor as well. I love to do it by hand. I think it's a bit more like gives it a bit more of a rustic look. All you need to make sure is your butter is really cold, because we want it to stay separate. And if your butter's super soft, it will form into a dough. And we don't really want that. But it's kind of everything in, and you're going to do a rubbing in motion like you've seen in scones or something similar. So for me, I'm just putting everything in, all my butter, all my flour, my cinnamon, and my brown sugar. And while these guys get their onions going, I'm just going to be rubbing everything in. In terms of rubbing your oats, they don't need anything, so there's not much point to put them in now. You can if you want, it's not going to change it, but you can't really rub much into oats because they're already full. So I'm going to leave them right until the end, and I'll work on my flour, sugar and cinnamon. If you're wondering what a rubbing motion is, we're talking dig in and almost like squeeze your butter through your flour, so you're not grabbing it like this, you're actually pushing it through. And what that's going to do is kind of coat your flour in that butter, but it should look pretty rustic, you know, big clumps, small clumps, a little bit of butter here and there. I think it looks nice. And then right at the end, we'll finish off with the oats. So that's what I'll be doing for the next 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how warm your hands are, while these guys get the onions going.
All right, so with our onions, so we've peeled them all. And now we're going to start chopping towards the roots. So it just means they've got a nice handle to cut towards, and they'll cook nice and quickly because we're cutting them sort of across all these lines. So we're going to do you got your nice claw, excellent. So you can do them quite thin so they cook nice and fast. And as you get towards the bottom and it starts to rock, you can just put it flat and do a couple of chops around. This can be blended, so if you feel like knife skills aren't your strong suit, it doesn't matter how beautiful they are, to be honest. So we're just going to do nice half moon rings, and then we're going to start browning. So since you have watched a lot of our episodes, what's your, how do you describe our onion technique?
high heat, get them browned, and then get the sugar off of the pan by water. And,
Nice.
The sugar has nowhere to go other than the onions. So
I can hear myself in you.
Is that a direct quote?
Yes, I think that is actually. So we're going to, as soon as we've got our onions chopped, we're going to pop them into a cold pan. I've got some olive oil. It might seem like a fair bit of olive oil, but it gives the butter bean mash like a lot of richness, and it helps the onions fry nice and quick. So we're going to get olive oil in my pot, big pinch of salt, and as Aidan was saying, high heat so it can begin to caramelize. And then we're going to do a little bit of prep on our veggies. So we've got some veggies, we've got some herbs. So we've got lots of rosemary, some thyme. You could do oregano, dried, fresh, plus some parsley. And the herbs are really what makes this delicious and kind of lifts it up from just being a basic bean mash. And of course, lots of good seasoning. So a little bit of salt, not for seasoning, but to draw out moisture. And then you can just pop all yours straight in.
Lovely. You can give you a run for your money, Mill, from those slices. And I'm just still here, rubbing in.
Was that a donation?
Donation to the floor gods.
Wouldn't be one of our episodes.
Yeah.
You can drop something on the floor.
We must have one
Yeah,
of everything.
very, very nice. So now I'm going to break these up, or you can come around and break these up and start frying these for me if you'd like. So we're just going to make sure everything is really well tossed in the oil, otherwise you're not going to cook them very evenly. And now we can crank it up to full heat. But I might move it to a little side burner so we can see what's going on. Ooh, making a funny noise.
I'm just still here.
And Maddie's just rubbing in.
Yeah. I will say, I have exceptionally cold hands, so this usually takes me a while. But I still stand by it's better than the machine.
You can taste the
You can
the
taste that
manual.
it's handmade. All right, and I am going to go in with my oats now. What I was trying to say earlier is there's not much reason to put your oats in early because they're not going to change form. You're not going to be able to rub the flour in or anything, so it just means you're pushing them around the
You can
bowl
just leave them
unnecessarily.
do their thing. So with our onions, I'm just going to move them to the side where they're going to continue to fry on nice high heat, but we are not going to touch them too much so they can continue to get that lovely caramelization. The next thing we're going to do is some herbs. So any of these tough ones, so you've got rosemary and thyme. You're going to hold it towards the top and just pull it down. And you're going to get rid of this hard stem and you can just give that a nice chop. I've got some rosemary. Rosemary is one of the toughest of the hard herbs, so I want to make sure I get rid of the stem and also give it quite a good chop so it's not too woody or too tough to eat. And then we've also got some lovely parsley which we're going to be chopping up nice and fine, so you can put your knife skills to the test. So when we're chopping something like this, I like to keep it nice and tight with my hand on top of the knife and just rocking my knife back and forth to make it a little bit smaller, and then I'll kind of scoop it back into the centre and keep on going until I've got something that's sort of that size, very, very tiny. But your thyme is quite small in the first place, so you can just do a rough chop on yours. And our onions are beginning to fry and smelling really good. So I'll just give them a little check. Not much happening, still quite pale, so you just leave them be. Don't touch them if they're not doing any colouring. Ooh. And just looking at our apples, they are starting to get nice and steamy and hot. Just give them a quick toss.
And finally I am
See how
done
they
with
are
my
going.
crumble. I'll show you after this.
So they're beginning to soften and break down, but not much happening quite yet. And at this point, your onions are going to make you cry. Happens every time.
If your crumble's looking like this, so you can't really see any big bits of butter, it's kind of feeling wet and grainy and sandy. If you keep on going, it will start to come together into a dough. We don't really want that. So if you've got super warm hands, it shouldn't take you long. If you've got cold hands, that was like 5 minutes for me. But you should be able to grab it together, but then still easily break it apart. You can use it straight away. Your butter's still cold. You can keep it in the fridge. You can keep it in the freezer. Very, very versatile. And you can use as much or as little as you like. So for me, I'm just going to sit that aside until our apples are ready and for that to go in the oven. If you are using your oven at home for your grilling, your apple crumble or anything like that, now is a really good time to pop it on. I'm going to get the apple crumble on, and in a few minutes I'll turn it on for the grill. If you have a grill function, that's what we'll be using for, well, tonight we're using it for our fish, to finish off our chicken and maybe the vegetables depending on how they go. Nice and high, really, really high heat.
Right, next thing we're going to do is a little bit of parsley once you're finished with your time. So don't rush, we've got a moment. Anyone at home who's got parsley for your butter beans, you're going to roll them up nice and tight like a little cigar, so you can chop lots and lots at the same time. And then with your fingers in that claw, with your nails tucked back, you're just going to do lots and lots of small chops. With this one, it's not essential to have them extremely fine, because we're going to blend them anyway, but it's good practice to get into just doing lots of fine chopping. Never hurts to do a bit of knife skills. How are you getting on with that time? Taking sweet time. Right, so chopping, rotating, nice, looking good. And our onions are smelling good. Actually still not doing very much, so I'm just going to leave them. And I've done my parsley. You can leave the stalks on if you want. Again, they're being blended, so as long as they're nice and fine. But the one thing I definitely would chop nice and fine is your rosemary, because that one doesn't really break down, even with a good blender.
And it's going to cook for a while.
Nice. So once you've got our onions brown, it is sort of everything in the pot. We're going to let it simmer until it's really soft, tasting really good. And then we're going to blend it until it's lovely and smooth, just for consistency, for seasoning, of course. And that is our butterbean mash, and then we'll move our minds on to grilling.
And Aidan is absolutely smashing the chopping. You've done a
nice.
really good job. And I'm about to start the chopping party as well, for when we get our veggies going. Oh, sorry, Mill, I took your glasses away.
You did. You can pop them in there if you can. Actually, let me take that out. There you go. And I'm going to have a little check on these apples. They've got nice and hot and steamy. Which is good. They're beginning to soften and break down. They are almost like mashing consistency. So in maybe 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes even, we will check them, probably begin to mash them, and then that's the sava apple crumble done.
Oh, did I sue your knife? You're being a thief tonight. I am going to do what I said actually and put that oven on.
Very nice. Look at that. Speed chopping.
Yeah. All it takes is 20 hours of, or 20 and a little bit hours of chopping at home.
So for our butterbean mash, we need, of course, some butter beans. So we just got them from a tin. You can cook them yourself. They just take quite a lot longer to use. So we're going to start from fully cooked butter beans. Just drain them. You don't need to keep the liquid, and I often do rinse them just to get rid of all the cooking liquid. Our onions are beginning to smell very frizzled, lovely and caramelized. And there's lots of browning on the bottom. So I'm going to add a big splash of water. And the water can turn brown, which is a good sign you've got lots of caramelization on the bottom. And then I'm going to let it evaporate off and continue to cook down. Right.
We've got some, in terms of what you're grilling, anything you're doing, we said we had 3 varieties. We've got some vegetables, we've got some chicken pieces, and we've got some fish. You can do any, all, or a variety. I think grilled veggies is very, very, very summery, or griddled vegetables is very summery. So we've got some nice aubergine, a pepper, or capsicum, and a courgette, and of course some cherry tomatoes.
Right,
We've got, if you've got some asparagus or some leeks as well, they all griddle really, really nicely. All of these, we want that griddling is like that nice bar char lines. So while we wait for the butter beans to get really, really nice and dark, or the onions for the butter beans, sorry, to get really, really nice and dark, we're going to prep some vegetables to get grilling as well.
So we are doing, starting with our grilled veggies, then we'll get our grilled chicken on the way because that's nice and quick. And then finishing off with grilled mackerel. So while we've got all our...
What's the best thing about grilling as opposed to like roasting?
I think it's got really good flavour. It's a little more pretty. You get these beautiful grill marks, especially when you do it in a grill pan, which I love.
Yeah.
And you get that little bit of charring, which is a bit more flavour. But sort of best of both worlds, especially if you finish it in the oven. So we're going to start this with all our lovely grilled veggies, very summery selection, plus some chopped garlic. So what are you feeling like? A little bit of veg prep or garlic?
Garlic.
Garlic. All right, so you're going to trim off the end. You can give them a peel with a light bash with your Jeffrey or your knife. And then if you want, you can do it by hand, or you can cheat. I won't judge either way. We've got a little garlic press as well.
You will judge.
No, I like a garlic press. I just don't like washing them up.
Yeah. You can crush with your Jeffrey, a plate. I think I've said this a million times. Crush with your bare hands. It doesn't take too much. You can use the bottom of a nice heavy bowl as well.
Just go like this.
Yep.
Beautiful. Done.
Good whack. So with our pepper, I'm just going to do like little cheeks. So again, a little like the apple. I'm not going to go straight through. I'm going to go just either side because then I'll miss all the seeds, keeping it intact.
Miss all the white stuff.
Yeah, the seeds, the
Actually,
ribs.
I don't know what that white stuff is called.
This?
Is it a pith?
A
Like
rib.
Orange? A rib.
Yeah. The more you know. And then when I get to the end, for me, I like to just chop
it
here.
off.
Then everything is sort of self-contained. I can pop that back in there.
So all our veggies we're going to try and keep roughly in fingers, I guess, or buttons. Kind of keeping on the thicker side. It will shrink a little bit, but we also want it to cook in a reasonable amount of time. So the courgette and the aubergine I will do really quite similarly. As in, I'm going to top and tail and top and tail. However, the aubergine we're going to do nice big coins or discs, quite thick, at least a centimetre, if not a little bit more. And the courgette, I'm going to try and match the pepper. So top and tail, and then so that they are fingers, we're going to go down like this. And then I guess little wedges.
A little investigation to our onions, starting to get nice and caramelized, really soft. They just need a splash of water and then they can go back in for another 5 minutes or something. They're not too far off at this point. And half the work in a butter bean mash is caramelizing the onions. So once you've done this, you're basically on the home stretch. And if I check our apples, they should be pretty soft. Yeah, when I squish them with a spoon, there's not a ton of water left, which is great. So that lid has just stopped it from burning on the bottom, but they're not really wet. And now I think I can just basically turn them off, let them cook for another minute or two, and then they'll be ready for us to mash. So I'm going to turn them down so they don't start to burn or brown on the bottom. With my peppers, going back to our grilled veggies, I'm going to do sort of centimetre size strips. So again, not super thin slices, but just thick enough that they aren't going to take forever to cook.
We're going to chuck everything in the same bowl.
Sure.
With oil. Yeah. My courgette, I'll show you another one. I've just gone for wedges. So we've done it before, but basically a wedge is not just a plank. You're kind of going on a tiny, tiny bit of an angle, but you can see I'm keeping my hand on top, just in case there is a little bit of a slip. So you get a wedge, so three, like a triangle basically. And that will mean it just cooks quite nicely instead of going quite thin. We want them to keep a little bit of shape. So when they cook, they'll go quite floppy. If you cut them really thin, they go too floppy almost, and they're a bit hard to handle. So a little bit of thickness, but not so thick that they take forever to cook.
Nice. So I've got my big chunks of pepper. So these can go, I pass them in this direction.
In our
have an
griddling bowl,
aubergine.
you can have 1 times aubergine.
So we've got all our nicely chopped garlic. You can just keep going if you want.
Yeah.
chop forever. It can be quite fine. It's going to go on our dressing at the very end. So if it's too big, it's not going to cook, and you get a very strong sort of raw garlic flavour. Whoa, these are sounding very, very sizzly, and they're looking really nice and golden brown. Very hot and steamy. So we're going to add 1 quick splash of water, just stop that little bit that's developed on the bottom of browning. That's called deglazing. Since we're on week 20, I'm sure we've brought it up many, many times. And then we're going to start building up all our flavours. So we've got these herbs that we chopped. So parsley, thyme and rosemary. These are going to go into the pot with the butter beans, along with our rinsed and drained butter beans. So we've got 2 tins. And then we're going to mix it up and add just enough water to cover. And then once everything is nice and soft and tasting delicious, we're going to blend up and adjust for consistency and flavouring. All right.
If you do this butter bean puree at home, don't be shy with your herbs. Ideally, it is super, super green. I've had it without many herbs. It's not as nice. The onions are good, but the herbs kind of make it. So this one is almost ready to go to sleep.
Ready to go to sleep. So just enough to almost cover them. You don't want to make a soup, but this does stiffen up quite a lot on standing because it's got lots of starch in it. So these are going to go simmer at the back, just on like a medium heat, nothing too crazy.
In the meantime, Aiden's just absolutely annihilated all that garlic. It's going to be beautiful.
So with the griddle veggies, you're going to put half your oil in with the garlic, which will be sprinkled on at the very end, and half over all your veggies to help them cook very nicely. So you can sprinkle that all over that bowl of veggies over there.
While you finish that off.
And I'm just going to do the last one, which is our aubergine, which I'm just going to cut into circles, nice and simple. So I'm going to go in half lengthwise and then into sort of nice half moons. But you could do rings if you wanted to. Just the idea is not too thick, not too thin. But aubergine is
the magic words, right? Not too thick, not too thin. You want it to griddle but not become absolute mush.
Yeah, you can give your hands a wash.
In terms of our apples, steam. Firstly, they should be translucent all the way through. You can take it a little bit further and go kind of like more like baby food, but so long as they're completely translucent all the way through, so they're not, there's no white pieces anywhere, it's all soft, and there's no crunchy bits left, I'm happy at this stage. You can always take it a little bit more and make it softer again. Yeah, there's just steam everywhere. So for now, just to get our products clear, we've got our butterbean puree in the back. It's got everything in, your caramelized onions, herbs, all that. It's just simmering away so the herbs soften. For the apple crumble, I did the crumble before for forever, took me 10 years. And then all of the water from the bottom, Millie didn't add too much, it was just to stop it from sticking. I don't know if you can see that there, but basically there's no water on the bottom. And that is our main aim. That's the reason why we don't just use raw apples and chuck them straight in the pot with the crumble on top, is because the apples release a lot of water. So we've cooked it all out, made sure there's no water left. So this will basically stay as it is now. It won't change in form, it won't get sloppy or anything like that in the oven. And so because the apples are cooked, it doesn't take that long to cook now, because your crumble, we just need to cook the flour and the butter. So basically we're looking reasonably high heat, 180 up to 200, and just a really nice golden colour all the way over the top.
So Maddie, if I can just move you to the side, I've got a griddle pan.
Yeah.
And Aiden and I are going to start grilling some veggies.
Woohoo. Okay, 1 second please. I feel like I always end up lifting these up.
Alright, so this is a good moment to get a griddle pan onto heat. So this one has got lots of lines on it, which is going to give us that beautiful charring. And our hob has just turned off, so give me 1 sec. So medium high heat is good to get that lovely charring. So now we've got a little bit of olive oil over these. You just want to make sure they're nicely saturated. I might do a tiny drizzle more, just to make sure, especially things like the aubergine, which are really thirsty, they actually are caramelizing rather than burning. So they are veggies. Do you want to do a nice drizzle all over the top, and I'll give it a good shake. And your pan should be hot enough that when I hover my hand over it is almost uncomfortable, and we're not oiling our pan, we are oiling our veggies, so I'll give it a little shake and a toss. So we're going to use some tongs just so your fingers aren't getting too involved. So anything like this, which is long. Yeah.
Can I just pop this in the oven?
Of course, sorry. Anything that's long like this, let's do crumble.
Okay, final, before it goes in the oven, your apple's all done. Again, can take a little bit longer, but it's fine, everything's translucent. This is the crumble. It's the here's some I prepared earlier section. I'm going to say this is a lot, but actually it's the best part about it. So
it is.
Be generous.
I only eat crumble for the topping.
No, it's a good amount. It's a good amount. This is the best part about it anyway. So, but you don't have to use that much. We are, because I've got to feed a lot of people.
Since we've made muffins in other episodes, this is a lovely topping if you do have leftovers. Yes. You can always rewatch that another time. And
this is also a very good individual. Like, you can do this in little individual ramekins as well. It's very much a scalable product. So you can make it massive, you can make it small. But all we're looking for now is all of this to be really nice and golden brown. So if it comes out and it's still shiny, that means there's melted butter. So it needs to go in for a little bit longer. 20 minutes, maybe up to half an hour, depending on your oven and everything and how big it is and whatnot. But this is ready to go in, and it looks beautiful.
Very nice. So with our veggies, going back to this, these are going to shrink down quite a lot because they're quite small, and so will our crumble. So don't worry if it looks like there's a lot going on. It won't turn out quite so big. So with the long bits, you're going to go into the pan. I want you to feel how hot that is, just hovering your hand over the top.
Oh yeah.
How would you rate that on a heat scale?
It's definitely warm. Definitely
warm.
definitely you can feel it. It's not like, oh, is it on? Is it?
So yeah, uncomfortably hot basically is what you're going for with grilling. If it's not hot, you're just not going to cook your veggies in time. So we're going to go like this, so you get nice short grill marks across it. If you want to be really fancy, you're going to have it on an angle and then on an angle again. But I'll leave you to just start with all the long pieces and then we'll finish off with the cherry tomatoes, I think. So we've got half our oil in the bowl, and then we've got our garlicky oil to drizzle over the top at the end. I suspect these might need a little finishing off in the oven, so we've also got an oven tray ready to go, lined with a little bit of baking paper to go in, just in case they need extra cooking. Mainly for things like aubergine, they're a little bit on the tough side, they just take a while to cook. In the meantime, I've got a second griddle pan preheating in the back, again on medium to medium-high heat. Sorry.
This is patience. Oh, okay.
And that's what we're going to grill our chicken in. Things like fish that we're going to be doing later on are just very, very fragile, so they're not really suitable for pan griddling. So we're going to do ours just under the grill in the oven a little later on. So if your grill is slow to heat up, put it on now. We're going to use
they should be
a nice hot grill to get our fish looking a little bit charred. Ideally, you're just cooking them, but you're not overcooking them because they're taking too long to go in the oven. Very nice. Right. So you can put a couple more on, just so we can fit lots on the tray. Okay. So you can put them with just a tiny bit of room between them. So there's enough room for all the steam to escape, but not so much. Oh. So maybe like one more here, because we've got quite a lot of veggies to grill.
If you are doing lots of vegetables, so we're using this really cool pan, which is going to make them gorgeous with those dark char lines. If you are doing lots of vegetables, I don't know, you have heaps and heaps of people coming, you can just put it straight in the grill in the oven. The thing that we're looking for is like a char mark. So that can come from the grill in your oven as well, which means you can fit a little bit more on, and it shouldn't take too long. Like it should be a nice, like really quick, dry cook to get that nice kind of char mark on it. This, however, it looks really, really nice. But if you've got a bowl like this, you don't want to be doing this for 6 hours.
Right, so next job, we're going to do our chicken, because chicken takes a little while to cook. We've got some parsley, some garlic that we're going to finely chop, some olive oil, and a little bit of lemon juice. So to start, we're just going to crush some garlic into some oil, toss all our chicken pieces in that, and then we're going to start grilling them. Once they're looking nice and charred, we're going to sprinkle over our lemon and parsley and then pop it in the oven to finish off cooking. So that is our initial...
I've just got a stack of boards here.
You have, you're collecting them.
You're a thief today.
So that's looking good. We're going to let them sit on the griddle pan until they get really good colour, at least 2 minutes per side, and we're going to leave them. So once they're on, we're not going to touch them, but you can have a look.
Patience.
And once you've got a line like that, which is perfect, you can flip them. So I think you can start flipping the first ones that went in.
Okay.
And we're going to do a little bit of chopping over here.
I'm going to be your hands.
My hands?
You're going to be chicken hands, though. I'm going to be unchicken hands.
We had egg boy, now I'm chicken girl.
Everything that we need for the chicken. There is a little bit of lemon. We've got 1 lemon here. I think it's dealer's choice on the amount of lemon. It doesn't take much, though. You don't want it to be drowning.
Yeah, so we're going to use up to a whole lemon. We've got quite a lot of chicken here.
Put this here. And then chicken back here. Amelia's going to be chicken hands girl though today. If you are dealing with chicken, I think we've done it a few times. You can use gloves if you need to, but never ever ever will we wash our chicken.
No washing.
Never ever ever will we wash our chicken.
Washing chicken just basically spreads bacteria everywhere, and you're ending up touching your sink and things. So ideally, you're only ever going to be cooking it to get rid of bacteria rather than washing it.
If you have bones inside your chicken, which we actually do for some of ours today as well, we're still going to get those lovely brown, like the char marks, because that is where a lot of the flavour comes from. But we're going to finish it off in the oven just to make sure that it's cooked really, really well. Same goes for all chicken, but yeah, if you've got the bone in, it takes a little bit longer as well. So we're talking about temperature, anything above kind of 75, 80 degrees is the safe cooking temperature. But those, if you just put it on the griddle, it's going to take a long time to get through the center heat. So the charring, those griddle markers for the flavour, but to finish the cooking, particularly if you've got bones inside, it should go in the oven for at least another 20 minutes after that to make sure it's really cooked.
If you want to grill it a little bit faster in less time, just don't do it with the bone in. It's quite easy to find skinless, boneless
Skinless,
in
boneless.
the supermarket.
Yeah.
So unless you're really good at deboning, that's usually what you're going to get. The skinless, boneless ones, and you can pop them under the grill and they'll cook nice and fast.
Yeah.
So I have my garlicky oil now. I'm going to pour this all over my chicken. And if you're smart about it, you'll do it in a bigger bowl, which I never am. But it'll be fine.
So I've got a little bit of lemon juice for the chicken and then also a little bit for the mackerel as well. We're thinking ahead.
How's that going?
Good.
It's starting to smell really good in here. A little smoky.
Yeah, it's about to get smoky.
So I'm tossing all my chicken pieces in that garlicky oil. And I've got my preheated griddle pan ready to go. And then we're going to do the exact same thing. Since I've got chickeny hands, I might put them in, then you can watch them. Do you want to have a little look at that grill pan in the back and tell me how hot it is?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Is it as hot as the other one?
Yep.
Excellent.
Comfortably hot.
So you can, if you're comfortable, you can bring that around to this hob.
Okay.
So now I've got chicken hands. I'm trying not to touch anything at all. Otherwise you end up washing your hands many, many times. And if you just click in between the 10 and 14 to get it on about 12, that's great. So we are always oiling our chicken, not the pan, because we don't want our pan to get smoking hot. So I've got my pieces of chicken. I'm going to lay them down skin side down, because that's going to give us a very, very nice crisping. And as soon as your pieces are looking really tender and soft, you can pop them straight on this tray. So I'm going to come around just so I don't drip chicken on our veggie board and upset Maddie.
I don't know if I've said that I don't eat meat, but don't eat chicken.
Yeah, Maddie is a vegetarian. So here we are.
Pescatarian.
So I'll start with my thighs because they're all kind of similar size, and then I'll see what I can fit on. I think I've got room for... I've got another thigh. One more thigh in here. And now I'm going to give my hands a very, very good wash, and I'll just keep these pieces here for later.
If you're griddling or you've got one of these nice pans to griddle at home, you want it on the, it depends, highest temperature, just so long if you've got gas that's not looking up the sides. You really just want it on the base heat. If it's going up the sides, it's definitely going to start burning. I'm sure you can see it's already quite smoky in here. That's the price you pay for flavour.
It is.
These look so good.
A little bit risky, but here we are. So once you've got some off, you can just start putting other ones on. I'm not even going to touch the chicken at this point because I'm sure it's not ready. But after about a minute or two, we're going to turn them over, get lovely colour on the other side, and then we'll finish it in an oven.
Okay.
And I think that's the last of our chopping for tonight. So we're going to clean down all our chopping... It is.
25 minutes, yeah.
We're going to clean down all our chopping boards, and we're just going to work through all our bits of veggies that we have on the
Check
side.
out beans. Have a look at our mackerel.
Behind you.
This is your chicken.
Beans, yeah, they're my chicken ones. Our beans have just been cooking in the background for about 15 minutes. So they're getting nice and soft. A little bit of water has evaporated off, and I think in a minute we're going to begin to blitz these. But I'm just going to move them to my other burner now so you can see their progress. We can just keep this on a nice low heat. So if you're working with raw chicken, just try and keep, ideally, a raw, sort of set of raw chicken tongs and cooked ones, just so you're not cross-contaminating between your cooked and your raw ones. We've got our lemon juice for later on. We're going to use some on our mackerel and some on our chicken, as Maddie was saying. So I'll pop both of these to the side when we need them.
This is for your chicken.
Yeah.
Okay. And Aiden's just plugging along with the veggies. And we only did 4 types of vegetables, so you can see
It expands.
You pay the price for the flavour.
I think in terms of portions, like one vegetable, like one pepper or an aubergine or something per person is really good. You don't need to do 1 pepper each. Just a little bit of everything is nice. And I'm going to just flip these over. So if you find they are sticking a lot, it usually just means they need a little bit longer. But this has got really nice grill marks, so I'm going to start turning these over. Sorry, it's getting a little bit bitty.
To be honest, these are almost like cooked all the way through. They're not going to take too long.
So once I've got my round one of chicken in, we're going to go into the oven, and then I'm going to start grilling my second set. Yeah, we're not too far off.
Oh, these are good.
Shall we do butter beans?
What have we done so far? We've got the butter beans cooking. We've got our apple crumble in the oven. I feel like tonight is a whole world of everything. We've got our butter bean puree cooking. It just needs to blitz and season. We've got our apple crumble in the oven. We're going with our vegetables. We've got our chicken going. Depending on what you're doing, we do have a pescatarian option as well. So we've got 4 fillets of mackerel that I'm going to have a look at.
And I'm going to keep them in little rows. So if you can put all your courgettes together, which you have, and then all your aubergines. So if we need to fish things out, it'll be nice and easy to take ones which are looking really cooked out.
Almost done.
Looking very
Everything's
nice.
like almost cooked anyway.
Yeah, perfect.
You want to talk about fish? I'm going to stay here.
So with your fish, you just got some nice fillets of mackerel. Mackerel is super sustainable. It's an oily fish, so it's very, very good for your skin and nails and hair.
It is.
It's
very
keep you glowy.
Very good flavour.
So I've got them on a lined baking sheet. I'm going to do a little bit of salt and pepper and a squeeze of lemon, and you can do the tiniest bit of olive oil if you want to. But to be honest, they're quite
oily.
They really don't need much. And you can do them skin side up or skin side down, depending on what you want to get nice and blistered. Of course, with an oven grill, it's going to cook top down rather than our hob grills, which are cooking bottom up. So it depends on what you want nice and brown.
And these ones won't take long at all. We've got our oven on 280 turbo grill, really, really, really hot. They're going to take what, like 4-5 minutes ish?
Yeah, about 5 minutes. It's going to get very smoky in here. And the way we know fish is cooked is it's going to start to flake. It will go from this sort of translucent colour to fully opaque. With our oily fish, it will go a little bit on the sort of browny side compared to our white fish. So it might look a touch different. And I'm just going to grab a little spoon to drip this over.
You look like you're on the fryers.
The front line.
Yeah.
No cheers yet from the grilling, so I'm very impressed. Maddie and I's eyes get very irritated. So we're looking for our opaque fish, flaky, when it's done. At the moment, it's sort of not looking too delicious.
Looks
I'm going to pop this in the oven now. I'm just going to do actually a quick tiny drizzle of olive oil.
So for the cooked, it will just start to flake apart, and really it's not taking that long at all. All you need to be able to do is pull it apart with a fork really, really easily. If you were to do that now, it's just kind of like one big slab of, I guess, like meaty-ish things. We're going to pull it apart with a fork, and it will be very, very easy to pull apart. It will flake, just like that.
And it'll be sort of white-ish in colour. So these are going to go with my grill as close as I can get it to the top of the oven. So I've actually moved my rack, so it's not in between two sliders. It's literally just above them, and it's going to be a little hot and smoky, and we might get the tiniest little bit of...
we might cry just a little bit.
It's hot. So I'm going to give those... I'll start with 3 minutes. And we'll see how we go.
I remember how long the blitzing took in our last session of blitzing. So I'm going to start blending the bean puree. So I will say at this stage, it can actually just potter away for forever. You're only going to get more tender beans, more tender herbs. Just make sure you're always topping up the liquid. So it can also lie to you though. So you
don't make it too wet.
Don't make it too wet, because you can always add in a little bit more water. So this actually has a healthy amount of oil on the top, but you can see, well, can you see? Because there's lots of steam. Basically, there's a ripple of beans, and the liquid's kind of just level with the beans. So you don't want so much that you're making bean soup. It should have like a healthy amount of structure to it when you slop it onto your plate or into a bowl or whatever.
If you're ever really unsure, you can always just get a measuring cup and just like sieve out a tiny bit of liquid, and you can always add it back if you have to.
Exactly. You can, and if you want it a bit more liquid after you've blitzed it, you just add water then, no problems.
So I'm going to take out my chicken and put my second set in, because they're looking golden brown on both sides. Got lovely griddle lines.
I'm going to give Aiden a break from on the fryers, so you can have a little bit of a breath of fresh air. How do you feel towards Goodness, give your hands a wash. How do you feel towards blitzing? Ooh.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah? Comfortable?
So chicken pieces are, I'd say, like half cooked. They're definitely not going to be fully cooked to the center. I'm going to pop these in the oven and start grilling my other chicken pieces. And my mackerel's going to be done in just a minute.
You can just press that one, and then basically as long as you don't stick it on the side like this, it won't go everywhere. So you want to keep it like kind of on the bottom of the pot if you can, and just go absolutely nuts. You cannot blitz it this enough.
Okay.
And then we get to taste it, all your hard work, and the perfect caramelizing of the onions. It smells really good. And
Very, very herby.
More herbs, more flavour.
Woohoo! Smelling like a party. Grill City. Looking good, right. How you doing?
I'm alright. I think we can taste the bean puree soon.
So keep on going. Ooh. Try not to lift it up while you're blending.
When you're cooking at home, Aiden, does it ever get this hot and sweaty, or is it just here?
And smoky?
And smoky?
I mean, I do a lot of stir fries when you've got the wok going. Yeah.
So you're used to it, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right, I'm coming through hot tray. Don't move. Oop. So, if I move these out of the way. Our mackerel's starting to get a little bit charred, which is nice. I can just check with a spoon to see if they are done. And they should break apart very, very easily and be fully opaque in the middle. I'm going to give this 1 or 2 more minutes. I'm just going to make sure I don't leave them in too long, because you can see our paper is starting to blacken and I don't want it to catch fire, which is what I sometimes like to do. So I'm just going to make sure I rotate it and then put it back in. All right. Do you think you got it totally smooth?
No.
No? All right. Keep on going. So we've got some bone-in portions of chicken today. Yours is boneless. It'll just take a little bit less time in the oven, and that's why we're finishing ours off in the oven to make sure they're fully cooked. The bone just makes it take a little bit longer. So we are not too far off in terms of cook time, but it'll just be much quicker if you do them with boneless pieces.
All right. This is lovely.
If you see any of your pieces like the aubergine looking really dry, you can just add a tiny bit more oil just to help them cook all the way through, because spongy aubergine is not delicious.
In terms of what you're looking for cookedness, I don't know. Cookedness. If you can look at this, you don't want them to be absolutely falling to bits and pieces. This one has a lot of nice flavour, and it's very floppy. For me, that's actually done. I'm not going to set it aside now, but I'm going to make sure it's in the centre. Everything else can take a while. I can see that they've still got very pale, but this one's super like dark all the way through to the centre, and it's floppy as heck. So that one's pretty much ready. The rest of them, you can see that they're quite pale right down at the hard bit, so they're going to take just 2-3 minutes in that really hot oven that the mackerel's been in as well, just to finish them off. But all of this is pretty close. The aubergine will be the last to cook because they're so thick, and you can see there's basically no oil in these pieces.
So I'm just going to check one of our pieces of mackerel. So you want to push into it, and it should just flake apart very, very easily, which this is. It's fully opaque. There is no like center bit that is not looking fully opaque. It's all cooked through, flaky. So this is done. And bonus points if you get nice charring on it. But ideally, you're not cooking it for so long that it begins to dry out, which is why we set our grill very, very, very hot. So I'm going to set this to the side for now. We'll just let that cool down a touch, and then we can do some tasting. All right, so you know the drill. We're going to have 1 lick into the dice spoon bowl, and I'll just take this off. And of course, if it's not herby enough, you're going to add some extra herbs at this point. So, it's actually pretty nice, but it's got no salt in it almost. So we're going to add big pinch of salt to start. We've got 2 tins of butter beans, and beans generally in pulses, they need a fair bit of salt to make sure they taste good. So we're going to go 1 big pinch. I'll give you a spoon to stir it in. So we want to make sure we're stirring to dissolve, and then we'll have another taste. I made mine a little on the sloppy side today, perhaps added a tiny bit too much water, but you can always let it cook on the stove a little bit more on a lower temp, just making sure you're stirring it frequently so it doesn't catch on the bottom, or you can just add a little bit less water, like I should have done. Right, seasoning time. Of course, if you like a little bit of pepper, you can add it in at this stage. Better. And now it's a little on the sweet side because those really caramelized onions. So to counteract that, we add my favorite thing, salt. Another big pinch. I'm saying it's probably going to need a big pinch and a little bit, just because it's still quite far off. And I'll say be careful when you're stirring these as well, because I've splashed myself with butter bean puree before. It is mega hot.
Mega hot. Mega hot.
And something that's really lovely with the butter bean puree is a little extra olive oil drizzled on top at the end as well. Oh, we are very close down. What do you think? So Cookery. I'm so predictable.
You
After my own heart.
created yourself like again.
Nah, I'm going to do it. One or 2 big pinches. Right, so we are nearly there. So you just keep on stirring that in. We'll do our final seasoning. And then we are almost ready for dinner time. So we've just got a double recipe of chicken, which is why I've got a little bit more to grill here. Feeding many people tonight.
Many people.
So we're just going to send the rest of our chicken to the back.
Whew. Okay, it's hot. But outside, the veggies are almost done. Feel like we've been here for like maybe half an hour griddling, but it's worth it. They're going to be delicious.
You want to do one last taste? Just to check we're on the right track. I think we're there now. So I can taste everything. It's very herby. It's quite sweet, delicious. So we are going to put this on. It can just continue to cook and reduce a tiny bit because I have made it a little bit thin. I'll show you. I mean, if I come around.
I'm almost done. Oh no, I have tomatoes.
So it's just a little thin. It should be, actually you can see it's holding its shape on the top, but it's just a little loose. So we're going to let them continue to cook and reduce and just stirring frequently.
I'm going to say, in terms of tomatoes, they don't really need too much on the griddle. It's just that char flavour. So I'm actually going to be very, very gentle with them now because they'll take 2 minutes in the oven. They're so full of water that they'll probably explode here, and I don't want to lose control of their consistency.
You can always give them like a tiny little stab.
Yeah. So these ones, ours fell off the vine, but if you can keep them on the vine, it's a lot easier to kind of transfer them or just have them all grilling in the same place. You're going to see I'm going to lose control of these tomatoes as I'm taking them over. But
they're going to begin to split very quickly.
I know, they're going to start to pop out.
I'm going to grab the chicken out of the oven. We can see how cooked it is with a thermometer.
Wait, 2 seconds and then we can do a swap.
Okay.
Actually, yeah, these ones, I'm just going to pop them in. They're literally going to take
got a little blistering.
2 seconds. They've got that nice blistering colour on the bottom there. So these can all go on, and look at that, a nice platter of summer vegetables.
Right, I'll move this to the back, get rid of all the smokiness.
This looks beautiful. Do you want to do a swapsy roux?
Yes.
Ooh. Again, right at the top, right where the heat is, and behind you.
Oh, so with our chicken, did you watch our chicken episode?
No, I did not. I didn't have a chance to.
Okay, I won't test you then. So with your chicken, you're looking for totally clear juices. If there's any blood in it, like a steak, it means it's not cooked. And no one likes medium rare chicken. So we're going to go for 74 degrees. So we're above 74, which is great, or 75. And you can check a couple of them just to make sure. Oh yeah, because see, this one is at 71. It was a little bit bigger. So it's worth probing a couple of them, especially the ones which are on the bigger side. And if, for whatever reason, you do have bone-in ones because you want the skin on, you want to check not to the bone, but definitely not cooked. You want to check to the bone, not to the bone, but just either side of it, because the bone will give you a false reading because it's a little bit cooler. So these are going to go back in the oven, and then...
You want to bring the apple crumble out?
Sure.
Move along a little bit. So out of everything we've done, what would you make at home if you were doing this episode?
I mean...
All three, or just...
I reckon I just get everything done, get the leftovers, and just...
Reheat?
Yeah. I mean, you can never go wrong with leftovers.
Your mum must love you.
So as I was saying, if you have bloody juices coming out, it means it is definitely raw in the center. You want to make sure it's fully cooked through all the way to avoid any risk of food poisoning. And as soon as it's looking nearly cooked, we're going to sprinkle over a little bit of lemon and parsley, and that's going to be the end of our chicken. The last thing we have to do for our grilled veggies is sprinkle over that garlicky oil, and they'll just go in to cook it very, very lightly.
Lovely with, like, even just on top of a little bit of rocket or some sort of salad. Like, these griddled veggies are so good on the day. They're so good fresh. They're so good the next day. They reheat fantastically.
Actually really nice cold as well.
Yeah, really nice cold. We eat them. They're some of our favorites. So you can make them en masse. Really good for on a barbecue, to be honest. We've done the griddle and we've done the oven, but they're fantastic on a barbecue if you've got one, and it's summer, so you should. But you can do a ton of different vegetables. Like I said, we've got some asparagus, some leek. They also take colour really nicely, and they just taste fantastic. And a little pinch of salt goes a long way for those. They are the perfect side to anything else griddled, particularly if you're doing everything at once.
How's our crumble looking?
Oh yeah,
Have you
I
checked
said
it?
I would get the crumble.
Sorry, I was hogging the oven glass. So I'm just going to be stirring this every now and then to make sure the mash doesn't catch on the bottom. It's full of starch, so it can burn quite easily. Oh, look at that.
Ooh. She's a beauty. So, what are you looking for when you're looking for cooked crumble? Usually what will happen is, if it's not cooked yet, and this is, so it's hard to tell you, is some of the butter will still be really shiny because it hasn't quite evaporated out the liquids yet. So if there's any parts that are super shiny or they still look quite soft and liquidy, that usually means it needs a little bit longer. It can always take a little bit longer, but for me, I know there's really good colour all the way around. All we need to do is cook out the flour and have that butter evaporated out. So if there's any shiny bits of butter, that usually means it needs a little bit longer. But I would say minimum 20 minutes in your oven and you're going to be absolutely fine. If you've got a really thick layer of crumble, it might need a little bit longer, but you can see that crumble, I know it looks ridiculous at the time, but has shrunk down a lot, and now it's much more respectable to eat one of these to yourself, I think.
That's a Maddie portion
That's
right
a
there.
Maddie portion right there. So for me, happy with this. I will say it's going to be so hot straight out of the oven, so this can actually stand for almost an hour and still keep its heat. So don't be stressed about serving it hot, particularly in these nice thick dishes. It keeps its heat super, super well. I think we are almost going to have a chance to plate up today, which is very,
nice.
very exciting.
So if you are thinking about like oven timings and stuff, you can pop this in at the start, take it out, just leave it on the side, and it will just stay warm, as Maddie was saying.
For a really
and you can
long
do all your
time.
grilling and stuff
Yeah.
in the meantime, and then you've got a nice crumble sitting on the side, all done.
Or you can do what we did,
One I
which
made
was
earlier.
like griddle pans, get 3 chefs in the kitchen, put a 13-year-old on the fryers. I can so imagine you like in a full restaurant, like doing the full fry up. So this one's going to sit to the side, and I think we can check everything else. I'm going to taste the butter bean puree, and I'm going to.
Shall I fish things out of the oven?
Let's have a look. I think we can tray up today. Do you want to do
Tray up,
I think the veggies would definitely be ready. Ooh. You can do the honours of traying up beautifully the vegetables.
All right, so got a little charring from the top of the grill. They've also finished off cooking. They're like nice and soft. If you're unsure, you can always poke it with a knife. It should just go in like butter, ideally. Are you gonna? Oh, we need to
Aiden's
garlic
going to do the
oil.
honours there. Here's babies.
Wait, last
Everything on that tray nice and beautiful with all that oil.
last thing. A little bit of garlicky oil. I'll just put it in for like 1 minute, just to give it a little kiss of heat, so we haven't got raw garlic. But this is just going to be the final little bit of extra richness. It's going to take it to the next level. And of course, we haven't actually seasoned it yet, so we're going to do a little bit of salt and pepper. Ooh. Do you want to do salt and pepper, Aiden? So we're going to go for a nice high sprinkle with the salt. So using this side, little sprinkly side, you're going to go sort of left to right, but nice and high up. And this is so we get a lovely even distribution of salt, and it's not just like one big salt crystal on every single piece. Doesn't look like anything. There you go. So shake left to right. Yeah, there you go. And then you can do a good crack of pepper, and you can always add more salt once you've tasted a piece at the very end, just to make sure it's tasting delicious. Should be good. And I'm just stirring our mash every now and then, just to make sure it's not sticking and burning. At this point, if you have blended it, don't put it on full heat because it's going to sputter and is very, very hot if it lands on your skin. So just put it on a medium heat to continue to stay hot, and that's all. So I'm going to pop this in just for 1 more minute, literally, just to cook that little bit of raw garlic that went in.
And then we can make it beautiful.
And similarly, with our chicken pieces, I've been grilling. Most of them were at 70, which means that they barely had any time left on their grilling. So if you want to grab that lemon juice and that parsley, thank you. Do you want to do a little sprinkle with the teaspoon over the top, just like that, plus your parsley. And again, we're going to do just a gentle season, a little bit of salt and pepper, keeping it nice and simple, letting the delicious food speak for itself.
And because it's our last night, it feels like it's been a little bit of a challenge. If you've managed to get it all out, or you've done slightly less, so maybe you chose chicken only or fish only, send us some photos. Hopefully you've got a nice rainbow of vegetables in your griddle. If you don't have a fancy griddle pan, you can always use the turbo grill in your oven. If you're a master chef like Aiden here, you can send us in your photos that look better than ours. We always love to see it.
Are you going to send us photos tonight?
It's not a competition. It's not a competition. We don't mind that yours always look better than ours. But hopefully, over the last 20 days, you've come to a slow realization that one, cooking is fun. Yeah. Okay. You got tears in your eyes. I think it's the steam. It's the steam. It's easy, and you can use pretty simple ingredients that you can find everywhere with like a good hit of salt and pepper, and hopefully it tastes amazing. It certainly looks like absolutely delightful, and I think the extra pinch of salt is always going to get you there. It's been really fun. Thank you. You don't have to go now, but thank you for all your help. You never would have been able to do this.
Do you want to dish up this chicken? I'm going to bring out all our grilled veggies because they've had their last minute.
I'm very happy that we get to dish up completely tonight. You can. They're the worst tongs in the world.
Sorry, my bad.
You can use those tongs, the rubber.
All the other ones are a bit chickeny.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sizzling. The garlic has just got a tiny bit blonde, but not burnt. I hate burnt garlic. They're just blonde. Everything's looking like lovely, smelling really good, to be honest. And I'm just going to scooch all of this stuff to the side.
You can put it on top of the chicken and then put it in the dish.
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realise.
Even though we're right on our last legs, I insist we dish this up. Just so it's our last night, you know. Everything, it smells really good. That garlic has, that tiny bit of time in the oven has made it absolutely sensational. So I think this is going to be our best meal yet. She says every time. It's been gradually getting better and better.
You can grab some pesto as well. It's delicious with those grilled veggies. Even just a little bit of fresh basil or something. You can keep it really simple or dress up a little bit. And this is one of my favorite summer dishes.
Yeah, we do this all the time. All right, the steam's done.
The smoke's done.
We finally stopped crying.
Oh, how is our butterbean puree going?
Butterbean puree
bubbling.
is thickening a little bit.
If you want, you can put a little in this bowl. We'll do a little drizzle of olive oil on top. Oh, thank you, Maddie.
Look at that. Couldn't be better. That one could be a little bit thicker.
A little bit thicker. Very nice. I always like it with a little bit of extra olive oil. And of course you could do some extra parsley on top if you wanted to for a little colour.
And look at that beauty. Oh, I just tipped it upside down and put the ugly side on top. But it does look beautiful. This is really nice. With a little bit of cream. It's got some ice cream or some anglaise that you happen to make at home, all the better. Voila!
Voila.
3-course meal.
Yeah.
2.5.
So 2.5 course meal. So thank you so much for joining us for our last night at Cook for Victory. Thank you so much, Aiden,
Yes,
as well.
you
It's been
master
smashed
chef,
through
man.
it.
Yeah.
If you have watched every single night, I believe there's going to be a special little treat for you. So
So if
keep
you've
an eye
managed
out.
all 20, congratulations. We hope you love it as much as we do and enjoy the food as much as
It's
we
been
do.
a pretty spectacular 20 nights of cooking here at Cookery School. Can't quite believe how much we've covered, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's been it's just a wonderful journey, and of course we're in the middle of summer, so it couldn't be a better time
Yeah.
to be picking up all
And
these
if you-
beautiful skills
if
with
you-
amazing produce all around.
Best produce. And if you missed one or two, just look back. It's all fair game
There
now.
forever, you can see it whenever you want, rewind, pause, we'll always be there. And of course, keep on tagging us at Cookery School London, #CookForVictory. We love seeing all of your amazing things.
And I think this is proof that you should get all your kids cooking. Aiden is 13 and
You're investing in
he's all
yourself.
by himself. So get it young, 10 and under. But
good.
thank you so much. It's been an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure. And thank you, Aiden, again. Thank
All
you.
right, bye-bye.
Bye.